This is the 35 Trios Tournament, a tournament in which 3 players team up and each player competes in one past 35 pokes meta. My team, the Chicago Cauliflowers, made it to the finals of the tournament and were playing the documented Bella Bros. I was the player for the February 2024 meta, and for all of the tournament I had been running this hyper offense team. But for the finals, I decided to switch things up and play Big Stall. 35 Pokes rarely has the right Pokemon to make a proper Stall team, but February has a great roster to do so. The primary appeal of Stall in February is the Sire duo, which gives you an unaware wall for both physical and special attackers. Skarmory is also a great member thanks to its huge defense, elite typing, and access to tools like Iron Defense and Defog. Another serviceable member is Aromatisse, which has good special bulk and access to valuable support moves like Wish and Aromatherapy. However, the combo of Aromatisse and Clodsire is weak to the extremely threatening Nidoqueen. This is where Snorlax comes in with its massive special bulk, easily tanking even Focus Blast. The final member of my Stall team is a bit odd looking, Alolan Golem. Although Skarmory is a great asset for Stall, it's also its greatest adversary. With Defog, a toxic immunity, and reliable recovery, Skarmory is very difficult for Stall to make progress against. As such, I'm using a special attacking Alolan Golem with a Magnet Pull. This is basically a budget Magnet Zone, which serves to trap and eliminate Skarmory. My opponent in the finals was Zungo, who came with a balanced team. Usually Skarmory would be scary to see here, but since I had Golem, I was feeling good. Only 5 turns in, I got my Golem in on Skarmory as a defog, but to my horror, it simply switched out. Most Skarmories run Leftovers, Heavy Duty Boots, or Rocky Helmet. Zungo, however, was running the super niche Shed Shell, which lets Skarmory escape the Golem trap. Honestly, my first thought upon seeing this was the forfeit button. Of course, I'm no coward, but at this point I was feeling a lot of pressure since my Golem was basically useless. To make matters even worse, I also figured out that Zungo was running a Tauros with Choice Band. Tauros is super scary for Stall since it has the tools to hit basically everything really hard. The next dozen or so turns were just back and forth positioning, until eventually I got Golem in against Skarmory again as a defog. Now, since it could just leave, I went for Toxic, expecting to catching an incoming Quagsire. Instead, Zungo got a little crazy and opted to stay in and body press my Golem. This caught me off guard since I could have taken Skarmory down to 1 HP with Thunderbolt. I thought surely Zungo would stay in for a second time, so I went for Toxic again. To my utter shock, Zungo stayed in again and killed my Golem with Body Press. These were some absolute soul reads, and at this point in the game I had no way to really threaten the Skarmory. However, I'm running Big Stall. I still have an out. Hazards. Sure, Skarmory can defog them, but it can only use defog 24 times, and I can put down hazards way more than 24 times. Additionally, Skarmory takes chip damage every time it comes in on rocks to defog them. Thus began the long haul. I spent the next 15 turns executing my hazard plan, but eventually I had my full health Skarmory staring down a 59% Tauros. In this turn, I decided to stay in and body press. If Tauros wanted to hit me, it would have to take both a 415 defense body press and Rocky Helmet damage. Additionally, this Tauros was running Raging Bull, which is a lot less threatening than Flare Blitz. Zungo also stayed in, but used close combat to try and catch my Quagsire. My Skarm easily tanked this and took it out with body press, which was huge. I now had an easy defense to switch in for everything Zungo had, which meant I could slow down the pace of the game and play my hazard game. Not long after taking out Tauros, I landed a Toxic on Aromatisse with Quagsire as it tried to encore me into Stealth Rock. I don't know if this Aromatisse had speed investment to outspeed Quagsire, but I like to think my 8 EVs in speed were the difference here. I then had this epic sequence of clicking Stealth Rock 3 times in a row while they were already up, each time thinking Zungo would defog them. You may not like it, but this is what peak gameplay looks like. 15 uneventful turns later, I thought I had Snorlax on the ropes. Unsurprisingly, however, it used Rest, which served to lengthen the game even more. My game plan was going well, as I had already forced Skarmory to defog 9 times. I also had Aromatisse heal statuses on my team, which was especially handy for getting rid of a burn that was whittling down my own Skarmory. Just as a quick aside, please point and laugh at how much damage Vanillix does to thick fat Snorlax. By turn 100, I've been having a good time playing at my own pace and getting damage against Zungo bit by bit. I almost took out his Aromatisse here as I hit it with an Earthquake, but a full paralysis saved Aromatisse from a follow-up Earthquake. But the Toxic I had landed earlier was taking its toll, because even after getting off a Wish, it exited with only half of its HP. Here's a fun fact. On turn 107, my Clodsire used Recover for the first time. It had used other moves 20 times and had taken several hits, which is truly a testament to the power of chip healing in slow games like this. On the flip side, Zungo Skarmory was not doing so hot. By turn 110, it was on 12% and had only 4 Roosts and 9 Defogs left. It was low enough to die to Rocks on entry. I immediately switched to Quagsire to get Rocks down for the 16th time, but as I did that, Zungo got Skarmory back in safely. The thing is, I was fine with this. I could continue my plan since it was still working. However, I could get a little spicy by using Earthquake against Skarmory. I knew I had to heal up, so I caught it a couple times while I was only a Steel type. Skarmory is now down to only 2 roosts, meaning its time was rapidly dwindling. A few turns later, I caught it roosting again, leaving it with only 50% HP and 1 roost left. On turn 129, Skarmory used its final roost and was down to only 6 defogs. Meanwhile, I had plenty of power points left to set hazards. At this point, Zuko's only way of healing Skarmory was with wishes from Aromatisse, but Aromatisse was also struggling thanks to the Toxic I'd landed nearly 100 turns ago. On turn 142, Zuko's Skarmory took a +2 body press in order to use defog for the 20th time, bringing it down to 18%. I got my rocks down yet again, and at this point Zuko was nearly broken. In fact, he was so desperate for anything that he stayed in with Vanillix against my Snorlax to fish for freezes despite Freeze Dry doing a cumulative 1%. He actually immediately got a freeze here, but this didn't bother me since I could just go to Aromatisse and use Aromatherapy. As I did this, Zuko went to his own Aromatisse and used Wish. I expected Skarmory to come in, so I went for Moonblast. I was correct, and so on turn 150, I finally felt the mighty Skarmory, my greatest enemy. I was totally free to set up all of the hazards now. It only took a few more turns before Zuko accepted the inevitable, and so after 159 turns, Zuko forfeited and I took home the win against my absolute nightmare matchup. After I got my team up 1-0, my teammate Rabbit Whale went up against Jay Ballister for the December 2023 meta. Rabbit Whale cooked for this match and took home the finals for us after a close match. Thus, the Chicago Cauliflowers were crowned the 35 Trios champions, besting 31 other teams in the process. If you're still with me, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Take care.